there, congratulations! You've stumbled into an all-new episode of the OH.Report Video Podcast, the only place to find all your local sports from around the Buckeye State, sprinkled in with a little bit of, we like to dive into the social media, some pop culture, and all broken down by this little group of semi-intelligent dummies, just all putting on a facade like we know what we're talking about. I'm Brian, this is Travis, and we've got Hayden with us today, too. And coming up on today's show, we're going to break down... Oh, hey, Hayden. Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. What's the start look like to you? The top 5 Christmas movies of all time. This was very hard to narrow down, in my opinion. Talk about the Heisman Trophy presentation as well, or just the Heisman in general. Is it kind of predictable these days? Doesn't need a change. Plus, we're going to have 2 special guests. One is in studio. One is going to be joining us in just a second. As mentioned, my name is Brian Skronsky. I'm kind of like the fatherly figure, I would say, around here. And then we've got Travis Berardi, Hayden Gray, kind of like, the older brother that got the younger brother that he never knew that he wanted or needed. And here you guys are, bickering, going back and forth, week in, week out, and just somehow making it work because you know Santa's watching.
Only problem is can't do the hand-me-downs because he's more narrow and I'm more wide. Narrow and tall, I'm more wide and short, so we really can't do anything when it comes to that. It would be something I give to my former brothers, G and Storm, but they're off in college or where I don't know where they are, but miss you guys.
Yeah, I think we're going to see them soon. Yeah, for sure. I think we'll get another G-Man and Storm signing.
I mean, he's a good substitute for them, though. I approve.
Wow. Well, how's that?
Substitute.
The ultimate compliment, right?
Yeah, I guess I'll take it.
That's about as good as you can get from an older brother,
Travis,
though.
Yeah.
Do you feel like he's at least offering any kind of mentorship, though? Like, any good values?
Yeah, he does. He gives me a lot of mentorship, despite everything else that comes with it.
Can't just be straightforward, man. Come on. Tough love.
All right, guys, let's dive into the show now. The awesome event coming to Columbus on Saturday that I know that we're all really excited to be a part of. We have got the Play-by-Play Classic that is going to be featuring some of the best basketball players from all over the country. And here to promote it with us today, we have got Jeremy Treatman, who is joining us from sunny Florida. I know that he just wrapped up a walk, man. So I got to say, I'm a little bit jealous. Temperatures here in the 30s, but you're going to be coming to Ohio soon, so you'll be feeling our pain, right?
Already feeling our pain.
Yeah, total blackout down there in Florida. Okay, so we'll see if we can get Jeremy back. But Hayden, you actually initially turned me on to this event that is going on. Tell me about how you originally found out that this was going on.
I was just scrolling through social media the one day and saw that there was going to be a ton of loaded talent coming, and I think what initially sparked my eye, obviously, is the fact that Sierra Canyon's going to come in from California, so they're going to have to come brave the cold too. But, I'm just really excited about the loads of talent, and I think we got Jeremy back, and he's excited to talk about it.
Well, and it looks like, Jeremy is here with us, so... What's up, Jeremy? If you can, give us some quick background about the Play-by-Play Classic and how this whole thing got formulated.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, for having me on your show. This is 23 years for the Play-by-Play Classics, which is hard to believe. But we got started in Ohio. I'm from Philadelphia. I've recently moved to Florida, but I'm a Philly guy. And in 2002, 2003, I was learning about this LeBron James, and I spent 2 years trying to pitch his school, St. Vincent St. Mary, to do some games, and I was able enough to secure them for the season, and that really was my play into Ohio, and I've been doing events in Cincinnati, Columbus ever since, because we had events going at the Schottenstein Center for about 11 years, which was amazing at Ohio State. Now, when Bronny came on the horizon and was entering the 9th grade, I came up with this idea to have fly out to Team Sierra Canyon, where LeBron's now a Laker, his son goes to Sierra Canyon High School, and come and play his alma mater, St. Vincent St. Mary, and do it in Columbus, Ohio, for the state of Ohio, who wants to see Bronny James, who's one of their first sons. And I actually cold called the coach at Sierra Canyon back then, and they liked the idea. It took a long time, but we got it done. The game and event was very successful. Back on December 2019, we had almost 14,000 people there. Because of COVID, we've been waiting so long to bring this event back. We finally got it back. It happens to be this Saturday, 17th. But in addition to this game, St. Vincent St. Mary and Sierra, and which will include Bronny and his brother Bryce and Scottie Pippen's son and Tim Hardaway's son. We also have 5 other fantastic games with some of the top teams and players in the state of Ohio. So, okay.
It looks like we're losing Jeremy a little bit here with his connection, but I think just that one game that he talks about, just pitching that Sierra Canyon, LeBron James, his 2 sons going toe-to-toe with his former school. Can you get much better than that contest? I think that's really cool, Jeremy, that you were able to make that happen. And you name-dropped LeBron, of course. This particular event, though, you guys have had some of the best players in the history of the game. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into some of the past history and tell me about some guys that you guys have had compete, and then also some ladies as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, for people who know me well, back in Philadelphia,
I think maybe with all the hurricanes and stuff that have come through, maybe the internet connection not the best down in Florida there for Jeremy. So,
Oh, there he is.
yeah. So from being Kobe Bryant's high school coach when he was a senior in high school, I thought about starting Showcase High School Stars. So a couple years later, there were 2 number 1 players in the country in the Philadelphia area, Eddie Griffin and DeJuan Wagner. One was at Camden High School, and now his son's the number 1 player in the country playing for Camden. That's DJ Wagner. And the other was Eddie Griffin, the late, great Eddie Griffin, who played for the Nets and the Portland Trailblazers in the NBA, and unfortunately passed away. But we started doing events, and LeBron came around in 02, 03, but we've also had Anthony Davis. We've had Kevin Durant playing 3 years in a row for 3 different teams. We had O.J. Mayo, who brought 17,000 people to Ohio in a big game in 06 against Oak Hill. Some of the stars ever John Rondo, Kyle Lowry. So there's been some good ones.
And it seems like from looking at your event calendar that now that you guys are back to work, that each event a little bit different. You just did one maybe in Kentucky that was not like a big collection. So tell me about just piecing these together, these events, and how you go about trying to find the best players from each state and then also mix in some of the top talent from around.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Even though I've been doing this for 23 years, I mean, there's still hit and miss. There's still, you never know exactly what's happening. Because in the Philadelphia area, the star player, Justin Edwards from Imhotep, who along with DJ Wagner is the number 1 or 2 player in the country, is committed to Kentucky. And I had developed a relationship with Reed Shepard's high school coach at North Laurel, who's next Tyler Hero type of a player, and has a cult following in Kentucky. Decided to match those guys up. Because of these Division I facility rules, you can't play at a Division I college. So Freedom Hall is a private building in Louisville, so I thought that would be a good place to do a bunch of games for Kentucky. So yesterday was pretty good. We had a lot of fun. So that was that one. I've had a lot of small local events in the Philadelphia and Delaware and Jersey areas where I've lived most of my life. And once in a while, I try to look and find stars from different parts of the country and put things together. So I'm apt to go anywhere if I can work it out. Last year I did 4 of Mikey Williams' games. And 3 of them, had about 5,000 to 8,000 people. He has quite a following. He's got like 3 million social media followers. So there's no actual strategy I have in setting up games. I mean, I look around and I do my own research and talk to a lot of people and come up with my own ideas. But Ohio and Philadelphia are pretty much, my homes. So that's where I like to do most of the events.
I know you guys have multiple events across the country. Just every year, how long does it take you to get everything organized and set up year by year for each place?
We are still organizing this event this weekend. Believe me, it could take the whole 4.5 months once you get the event set up. This one was tough because it was originally in Cleveland, and when I moved it to Columbus, I had to make some switches, and there were a lot of schools disappointed they didn't get to stay in, but I had to have some Columbus teams in the event, so we got 2 or 3 of them in there. And of course, Pickerington Central had to be in there, and Afrocentric because they got Dale and Swain. So it takes a while, but with these types of events, the big ones at the big arenas, and with teams flying in, there's hotels, there's airplanes, there's van services, there's trophies, workers, there's programs. There's lots of There's a list that I have that it's pretty long. So I've got enough people now. I delegate, and we try to make sure we check all the boxes and get it all done. But it's never really all done until the event is all done, if you know what I mean.
Jeremy, I have one question for you. Obviously, in the state of Ohio, football is a huge sport, but I think basketball can be right up there with kind of the keen sport in the state. You know, what are your thoughts just kind of on the level of talent that we have in Ohio basketball right now?
Ohio basketball is crazy. I mean, you got Darren Peterson, a top 5 sophomore. You got Marcus Johnson, a top 10 freshman. You got another top 20 freshman in Luther East. You got a top 40 senior in Luther East. You got Grover, George Washington, that's right now. He's going to Michigan. You've got the Dalen Swin, Afrocentric, is going to Xavier. You got Devin Royal, who's an outstanding player for Pickerington Central, defending state champs. He's going to Ohio State. You got Gabe Cups, who's going to Indiana. Everybody loves his game. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. And, you know, St. Vincent St. Mary usually has stars. This year there's just a solid team, undefeated. And, you know, they're always up there. St. Ignatius is always up there. They're probably 2 Final Four teams right there. We've got a lot of teams that are going to make noise in the state playoffs that are in this event, and we've got a lot of great players. I know Ohio is known as a football school, but, you know, maybe partly because of me. We've been doing these big events at Ohio State and in Columbus and Cleveland that have been rocking for, you know, 10 to 15 to 20 years now. So I consider it a basketball state as well.
Yeah, your list right there, it's about as long as Santa Claus is with all the different players that you mentioned. So it's going to be a huge event on Saturday. I am very much looking forward to being there. If someone sees this and they want to attend, what's it cost and how do they pick up tickets?
Here's my suggestion at this point. I would just go to the game. You'll save a little money on the Ticketmaster charges. You can go on Ticketmaster.com and look up the Ohio Play-by-Play Classic. You can certainly do that. But there's plenty of seats because it's a big 18,000 seat arena. So you're not going to get shut out. And you can buy tickets anywhere from $18 to $59. There's all kinds of different ranges. You want to sit on the floor. You want to sit near LeBron. You want to sit in the first level. You want to sit behind the basket. Everything's priced differently. But it's a great deal. It's outstanding game. Even if the Bronny game wasn't happening, you've got Pickerington Central and Centerville, the 2 best teams in Ohio, squaring off at 8 o'clock. So you're going to get the money for it, and you're going to be happy with the game, for sure. I'm still glowing from 2019. I've waited 2 years for this.
All right, thank you very much, Jeremy. If you want more information, you can check out playbyplayclassics.com. And as he mentioned, it seems like you can just go right to Nationwide Arena on Saturday. They've got games going on all day. The first one, I believe, tips at about 11 a.m., all the way down to they have an 8 p.m. game going on, those 2 big teams that he talked about with Centerville and then Pickerington Central. So it's going to be a heck of a day. And
you're going to see LeBron.
Well, I mean, I kind of want to see Bronny and Bryce, of course. And
That's
then
going to be some good basketball, though.
But then, so think about it from LeBron's perspective. Who are you rooting for? I mean, obviously your kids, but then it's the alma mater. He's put so much into that school. The gym's named after him now. He's got to be, like, a little bit torn. It's his former high school coach. Coach Drew's still there, still doing his thing. So how does LeBron go about, like, really cheering at this game? It's got to be a little strange, right?
Is he going to just be on his feet, though, coaching his son? You've seen those videos of him just standing up there, just yelling at him, coaching him, stuff like that. Is he going to be on his feet? You'll be able to see that. You got to put that in the highlight. I know you're going to be down there trying to get some highlights, so get some LeBron in there. Hopefully they don't charge you, though.
Great idea. Great idea, Trev. All right, if I do get a chance to talk to LeBron, you can almost be guaranteed that he's going to end up on the segment that we're going to roll out to you now. Yes. We've got an all-new edition of Talk of the Town where we talk with the high school athletes, our MVPs, typically from after our games, and here is the best answer from each of them from last week here on the OH Report.
It looked like you were going to try to go for a dunk there earlier before you got pushed. Is that true?
Yeah, because my stepdad had told me he was going to give me some shoes if I got to dunk this game.
So, can you dunk? I guess that's the next question.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, did you hear the answer to that? He can dunk. So next time you got to get the shoes.
Yeah, next time I got to get the shoes.
You and your teammate Cooper Kent, basically it looks like you got the green light from wherever. Is that the case where coach just believes in your guys' ability that you can just kind of pick and choose when to get aggressive offensively?
Yeah, coach believes in all of us, not just us two. He believes in all of us. He knows that we all can shoot, and we all know that we can shoot. So, if we're open, we're going to make it.
Between that inside and outside game and ball movement, what's really worked well for you guys to be able to find the success offensively that you have?
Yeah, I think all 5 of us are really good at working together. I think we are kind of good at knowing each other's next move, and that really helps us out.
What did you learn in those first 2 games that you were able to bring into tonight?
We just got to have the mentality that we're the best players on the court. Those 2 wins really helped us to boost our season and give us a boost for the rest of the season.
How does it feel to become the all-time leading scorer in Seneca East basketball history?
It feels real great. It was a real pleasure to be able to do it in front of the former all-time leading scorer. And, it's just a thing you get off your chest after you score. I mean, I didn't shoot the ball the best tonight, but I affected the game in different ways, and that's what really matters. We came out with a win.
Well, a big loss for Shanda, of course. I mean, she was our number 1 out there last year, and to lose her, I think all of our younger classmen like Sydney, Ella, Dive, Molly, they all stepped up, and that's what we did, and that's why we worked so well together.
How do you feel you've grown from last season to this season?
I have grown so much.
So I think that was
Looked
the
like
whole
you were
segment
gonna try
of
to
Talk
go
to the
for it.
Town.
Mine was in there, so all mine I gave you. So
Okay, and if
I think
not,
Hayden's too.
I'll post the entire thing, if that wasn't the entire thing, on its own tomorrow. But hey, guys, we got a special guest in studio with us right here and now. So without further ado, let's welcome in the director of the NCOSCCA soccer, and then also the assistant coach for Clear Fork girls, and oh, by the way, also the scoreboard operator for the boys basketball team at Clear Fork, Mr. Chris Laux.
Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, well, we're really happy to have you in, Chris, and you do so much, of course, out there at Clear Fork. The first question that I actually wanted to throw at you, this is what I want to know. I see the scoreboard operator. I was asked to do it for my kid's 8th grade game, and it looked like a little bit overwhelming for me, at least at first. I haven't learned it. So there's that you do, and then you're also coaching the girls on the sideline.
Right.
What would you say to you is a little bit more nerve-wracking? Is it being on the sideline for the girls' soccer events, or is it running the scoreboard where if something goes wrong up there, everybody's looking at you?
Probably the scoreboard. So yeah. So no, I never really thought about that. I mean, coaching on the sideline, I'd much rather be on the sideline coaching than sitting in the stands. That's for sure. So, but yeah, no. I mean, once you get used to doing the scoreboard, but there's been on occasions where I've missed turning it on. I hear about it. Trust me. So, or if I post a wrong score, sometimes I've hit fouls instead of points, and oh my gosh, yes, yeah, you hear about it. So
I bet for sure.
Yeah. So
how long have you been doing that?
Oh gosh, I don't even know now. Probably at least 5 or 6 years. At one year, a couple years, I actually did both the boys and the girls, and that just got a little bit too much. So,
Sure.
But and now I do. Yeah, now I do just the boys, and then Craig Madio does the scoreboard for it. And then we call it the grandparents board. The one we have a separate controller that operates the actual individual points and fouls. So I've done that a couple times as well. So same thing. Now if you get that wrong.
Yep.
Then you really hear it from
my grandson got 15 points, Chris, not 12.
That's right.
You missed the 3.
So yes, but yeah, no, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being involved down there at Clear Fork. I've been doing it for a long time now. So.
What's your thoughts on the new staff for the boys team? They had the same coaching staff in place for a really long time. So what's your feel for the new crew and what they're bringing to the equation?
I think Tim's bringing a lot of energy. Yeah, I mean definitely a little different. Different voice. Sometimes that's needed. Steve Bechtel did a great job there. I mean he really did, and he was there for 14 years. But sometimes there's a change that happens, and I think the kids are excited about Tim, and so we'll see. So yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about girls soccer now for your team. What's the routine look like at this time of year? Are you doing anything with the squad, or is it just, hey, lift if you can, work out, or play another sport?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I mean, many of our girls go, play winter sport, play basketball. But yeah, we do nothing. It's actually a dead period. I think you're not allowed to have any contact at all for a month after your season ends.
Good rule, probably.
Yeah. So, and we pretty much do it anyway. We would do it anyway. So we don't really do a whole lot at all in January. I'm sorry, in December. Come January though, we'll do futsal. Mount Vernon has that new facility down there that they put in a couple years ago, and they run some futsal on Sunday afternoons. So we'll do that. Yeah.
Fill us in. What you guys know what futsal is?
You don't know what futsal is? Sorry.
Is it German? Is it
no?
like
It's actually. I think
What?
the Brazilians came up with the game. That's probably why they're so good. So no, it's just it's a smaller ball, a little heavier weight to it. And you play, gosh, I think four people and a goalie, and yes, very confined area. So it's very good for improving your foot skills. Good first touch. So yeah, it's a great game. So like I said, I think it was pretty much invented or developed by the Brazilians, and the reason that they are so good, especially in tight spaces. And that's really the key to the Brazilian soccer folks, is that they can operate that ball very adeptly in tight spaces, and the futsal does a great job for that. So.
And I hear that most Brazilians are they're raised to play with no shoes on. That way you get a really good feel for the ball on your feet.
Yeah. So, but they have they've been doing futsal over at in Worcester at the high school there. For a number of years too, and we've competed over there. Last couple of years, we've just gone to Mount Vernon because it's a little closer and doesn't take up as much time on a Sunday afternoon.
Is that on the gym floor, or do you guys have? Turf?
Yeah, it's well, I'm not sure what it's that new type of. I mean, it could be a gym floor. That's fine. I mean, the surface down at that facility in Mount Vernon is. I don't know what you call it.
Linoleum or like a rubbery.
Yeah, like a rubbery, yeah, kind of like a rubbery
track type.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's a nice facility down there. I think the energy company down there put a lot of money into it, and so did Ariel. I think Ariel's involved with financing that building. So they have basketball hoops in there. They can do volleyball, and then like I said, same thing. It's set up that we can do this. We can play futsal. So.
Cool.
So yeah, we've been doing that for a couple of years now. It just gives our girls an opportunity to get work on some things. So yeah,
well, if we only need a few, maybe we'll get a little futsal team together, come
there
down
we go.
and challenge the Lady Colts. See what we got.
That's right.
Hey, maybe. Now you have a bunch of Lady Colts playing basketball this year after the great run they had last year. District runners up, first district championship game in forever,
40 years.
Long time. Yeah.
But now. Luckily, well, I guess you could say luckily, they dropped down to Division III just because so much is coming back in D2.
Right.
And I mean, they're off to a decent start this year. After losing two tough games at River Valley Mansfield Senior, they've got some good wins as well. But what are your thoughts on the Lady Colts and what they can do this year? Because I believe they can be a top contender in the MOAC, maybe make a run to that district final with Margaretta and a couple other teams.
Oh, I think so as well, and I think they have expectations of that as well. So I think they were excited about the opportunity to compete at in the D3 level and see what they can do. I mean, I think the main thing is it's hard to coach height. And you lose, a nice tall girl there in the middle that you could kind of count on for 15 and 10 every night. And it also opens up everything else. You drop that ball down in the middle to Becca, and then people collapse and they kick it back out, and those threes are a lot more open than they are this year. Right. So, but I know talking to Coach Sellers, I mean, he's putting in a new offense this year. And so, again, I think taking some time for the girls to kind of get used to that new offense and try to do something a little differently without having that presence in the post. So yeah.
And then I know myself was down there for one of the boys' games this year just last week with Brian, and I know we touched on it a little bit, but how do you feel like the energy in the gym has changed for the boys' games? Because some of those last year, like you said, they fought really hard. They were still well coached, but it just, it was difficult. They weren't finding success. But even in the game where they just lost to Gallion the other night, I felt a difference in that gym. Just how do you feel like the guys and like the community, the atmospheres change at those games?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, no, without a doubt. I think there's a new energy. In fact, I'm trying to think. It wasn't a Gallion game. It might have been a River Valley game. And it was a JV game in particular, one that was packed. It was, a huge crowd for it, and it went into overtime, and we won it in overtime. And I'm not sure if I've ever heard that gym as loud as it is during a JV game. Now, again, unfortunately, the varsity didn't. They lost. A tough one there to it's a hefty score, unfortunately, to River Valley. But they're a very good squad. But no, there was a lot of people in the gym. A lot of people that came out. There's a lot of energy. Just obviously supporting the kids. So yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about soccer because you're the director, of course, for NCOSCCA, and to see the game growing within the area. Let's talk kind of specifically about that event. Does it feel like it's taken some steps to where people are really excited to be a part of it, and kids just feel like it's a really awesome opportunity to be on that stage and be considered one of the best because it's multiple academies are all included in that.
Very much so. Yeah, no, and I agree with you, Brian, and that's the whole goal. And I think also, too, I think I told you when we were up there at the game this year, I think we found a nice permanent home in Shelby. That facility is beautiful and and very centrally located, a little more centrally located as far as, opportunity for everybody, because our district is so big.
Sure.
I mean, we go from, Mount Vernon all the way up to Sandusky.
Right.
So we tried to find something, makes it a little bit easier or desirable for people, players to want to come to. But yeah, no, very much so. I think, and now with the scholarship that we announce and hand out that day, and again, it gives them. It's a senior thing, so unless you've played in the state finals, and I mean it's the last time you're going to put on your jersey and get an opportunity to play probably in an organized soccer game, because most of those girls are not going to go on, or guys are not going to go on and play college soccer. So it gives you an opportunity to play one more time, and I think everybody enjoys that. The competitive juice is flowing again. So.
And who doesn't like scholarship money? So elaborate a little bit more on that, because not only is it a game where they get that one last opportunity to showcase what they got, but you guys are raising some money, and then you're handing out some awards to recipients. So obviously a really cool, beneficial part of it for the student athletes.
Yes, and we've tried to grow that every year. I think when I first started as president, or came on as president probably 10 or 11 years ago now, I think it was a $250 scholarship, and we've grown it to $1,000 each, and that obviously helps. I know, I mean, cost of college is pretty hefty these days, but every little bit helps, and I'm sure those.
That's a meal plan.
That's right. That's right. I'm sure those athletes.
That's a meal plan for maybe a couple days, but for some of these athletes,
back in the day, it probably worked. Now it's maybe 3 or 4. Okay?
Good to hear. Good to hear, Trav.
But yeah, no, I think it's appreciated without a doubt. So yep.
Well, we're definitely thrilled to be a part of it. We like being the live stream provider, and then it really opened up my eyes to the fact when I went down and kicked a couple of soccer balls, and I'm really quite horrible at that game.
Welcome, my friend.
And we're going to try to get better.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
But one thing that we can do is help try to raise some money for the scholarships, Chris. So today. We've got a nice check here for $500 that we would like to give you for scholarships to hand out to maybe already went to the girl or boy this year.
Yes, we already sent it for this year, but again, that goes in the pot for next year, and we greatly appreciate that without a doubt. So yes.
All right, well you can slip that into your pot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming in, man.
Yes,
I know they got a lot of travels. We were just hearing you're going to be all over the place here the next couple of days.
That's right. Yeah, business calls. So.
All right. Chris Laux, everybody.
Thank you very much, guys.
Chris. Hi, guys. Let's continue the show here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it so much.
Hey, thank you, Chris.
Yep. Yeah, see you, Travis. See you.
Good.
And I enjoy Travis coming down and putting on those old warm-ups and the ladies down.
Yeah, people love watching me embarrass myself. So hey, if it gets views, whatever, we're good.
Yeah, I think we should probably do it with the soccer team, huh?
Well, yeah, I was letting G and Storm do that because that was the first ever shtick that we did with the OH.Report. So
We have to bring them down for training in the fall.
Yeah, I definitely.
I'm game.
I already planted the bug in Garrett's head and let him know that you'd like him to come out and definitely be a part of G-Man Versus. So we're going to make that happen, Chris. And if not him, I think maybe Travis and I. It seems like my skills have diminished enough that it'll be good to pick up on camera going toe-to-toe for sure. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, guys. Well, I'm sure that you noticed that for the first time in his career yesterday, old Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow, finally got it done against the Browns. He was 0-5, but thanks to a 23-10 victory yesterday, he got the dub. But I don't want to talk about Joe Burrow. I want to talk about this guy, number 4, wearing the white uniform for the Browns this season. One, Mr. Deshaun Watson, fresh off an almost 2-year, I guess we'll say, layaway from the game of football. So I saw Hayden yesterday was intently watching this contest. I'm sure that you were watching as well, Trav.
I was watching the other game where we lost our starting quarterback and almost didn't. Lost to a third-string quarterback in the Ravens. So, yeah, I was keeping it updated, but I know you want to talk about.
Well, I'm just curious to get your guys' feedback about his first 2 starts. And when you're away from football for almost 2 full calendar years, did you expect a little bit more, or is this kind of the expectation from what we saw these last 2 weeks?
Honestly, I think the Browns should have stuck with Brissett because, I mean, you need to get Watson games in, but these are kind of like his preseason games. He hasn't been out there in any game time situations, and to throw him in there when you're barely hanging on to your playoff lives and to show him, rusty, massages must not be as good as before or something. I don't know. But, sorry, I had to do that. This is kind of like his preseason game, so he probably could get better in the next couple weeks, but you guys needed wins now. You needed a win this week to kind of stay alive, because I know the Browns and the Steelers both were eliminated from NFC North contention with our losses, so it's got to be, he has to be perfect the rest of the way. Just like the Steelers, both of us, our teams, we need to be perfect the rest of the way and have some help to even have a chance at that P word.
Well, the P word, playoffs.
Playoffs, yes,
this year.
yes, playoffs.
Has Deshaun sucked in your eyes, and or is this kind of what you were anticipating?
It's definitely what I anticipated. I tried to say it all along, ever since they made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, I don't think there's one name that I would have given that much money to when you haven't played that long. I didn't want to say that he can't get back to the level that he played at, but I'm like, he has just been out for so long. Mm-hmm. So I think it's expected, and it's probably not easy too. Number one, you can't simulate any type of this action. So not that I'm making excuses for him, but you can't simulate these game scenarios. And not to mention, every team that plays him wants a crack at this guy. He's not a very popular guy around the league for good reason, but everyone wants a crack at him. But, yeah, I think he's been completely not very good. He didn't even score in his first game. The defense and special teams scored all the points, barely scored yesterday.
Right.
1-to-1 touchdown-interception ratio, and I don't know. It makes me, I guess, happy to see him not. I mean, I didn't want. I'm not rooting for the guy, and I feel for Jacoby Brissett, and I hope he gets sent to another team where he can display his skills.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that Cleveland had won 2 games in a row for the first time all season, and we're mathematically still available. If you beat the Bengals and you get to 6-7, then definitely we're kind of in the playoff hunt for the AFC North. And his numbers against the Texans, 12 of 22, a $131 and a pick, and then not great yesterday against the Bengals, though he took a step. 42 attempts is what he had, threw for 276, a touchdown, did throw a very costly interception at the end of the game. But I think what people are most excited for, if you're a Browns fan, is his ability to do that. Pick up first down runs like on a 4th down and 4. So for me, I guess kind of on par with what I expected for a guy who hasn't played in over 700 days.
Into the middle of the season.
Trying to play against a team like the Bengals that has been so hot. But from this point forward, we got the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. I don't even know if Huntley can play this week. So you might want to be the best quarterback in that game. Thank you for that. Then they got the Saints, Commanders, and Steelers. So on paper, 4 winnable games for Deshaun Watson. If you don't come up with at least 3 wins in these games, how are we feeling heading into the offseason? And it's really more about the progression for me of Kevin Stefanski figuring out how to use this guy. So it's been bad. I think I'd grade him with about a C-, even given the situation. But it better have a whole big uptick with that $200 million guaranteed over the next few weeks. So just wanted to hear from a couple of Steelers fans about what you guys thought. All right, Hayden, let's keep talking about football, but let's move it down to the college ranks. What's got your brain kind of twisting up in knots? What have you been thinking about?
Well, I was just thinking about the Heisman, and I know Travis and I were coming home from our game Saturday, and I didn't even remember the Heisman was going to be named that night. It wasn't while we were together, but, we just talked about who we thought was going to win, and as much as we love sports, it wasn't really a very passionate conversation between us. We didn't really care as much, even though,
we knew who it was.
Right. Ohio State fans even had a person in the race. We had Stroud, but it just didn't have the attention-grabbingness that you would like to see out of it. And so I've just really kind of wondered how predictable it's become, not necessarily who's going to win out of the guys who get the nod, but just the fact that it's really turned into such a quarterback-only
nailed it
award. And the funny thing is there is already a national award for quarterback, and definitely not trying to take away credit from any of the quarterbacks that get nominated or win it. There's certainly a lot of guys that deserve it, but when you take a look since 2000, there's been 19 quarterbacks. And depending on how you look at Reggie Bush's, there's been a wide receiver, Devonta Smith, who won it, but then Derrick Henry and Reggie Bush, again, if you count his. So there's been other people who have been nominated, Aiden Hutchinson, Chase Young, but I just wonder how predictable it gets.
It's a quarterback, pretty much, unless you have national record rushing or you have 2,000 yards receiving on 100 catches and 15 touchdowns. You have to have something astronomical as a running back or a wide receiver, and then you have to be completely. You have to have maybe 5 pick sixes, 10 fumbles, something like that for even a defensive player to have a chance. Hutchinson had an amazing year. Some people thought he could have won it, but no, he's a defensive player, and it's just that thought process from voters now where it's a quarterback. The quarterback's the one that leads the team, and it's just It's lost its luster with me. It's the quarterback's going to win it 9 times out of 10, and it's exciting when somebody else does. But like I said, they have to put up numbers that you will never see again.
It's a great presentation. The show is off the charts. Jory and I
It's a good show.
rarely can get her to actually pay attention to sports, and she put down her phone and actually was watching the background stories of the Heisman. But I came up with an idea, Hayden. I think this is how they can make it more fun and less predictable for you. So this is what I would like to see. I want to see 5 players nominated every single year, but we're only allowed to have 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, always, and then always 1 wide receiver or tight end, if there's a great tight end, and 1 defensive player.
I like that.
And why this is going to work, number 1, the variety, of course. And then number 2, since there's 4 different positions, all that are incorporated here potentially, if you just get nominated, that's almost like an award in itself. I was the best defensive player, period, this year. Yeah. I was the best wide receiver. And while there's the other awards that come along with it, maybe they can kind of squeeze them all into that same box. Hey, you're this award winner for being the best wide receiver in football, but you're also part of the Heisman presentation. Because while it is a great night and a really good TV event, at the same time, we all knew who was going to win, and it's not that much fun when it is all just the quarterbacks. I know that they live and die with the wins, losses, and they're going to put up record numbers because defenses, flags are coming out in record numbers with the pass interference and the illegal contact, and you can't hit the quarterback anymore, so I get all that. True. Let's just narrow it down to maybe just 2 of those guys get in there.
Also, no matter what, if you're nominated as the Final Four, your draft stock goes completely all the way. It skyrockets. And there's some players that deserve to be in that Final Four, but no, they're not quarterbacks. They're not going to make it, and they deserve to be a higher rated player in the draft stock. But like I said, if you're in that, no matter who you are, you get to that Final Four, you're in New York with the suit on and that club setting and everything with everybody else, your draft stock just goes completely through the roof.
Yeah, I want to hear more stories about different different athletes outside of the quarterback position. You get to see the families, they get to talk to them, so it really is an awesome event, but pretty predictable. Hayden ain't wrong, man. So while I also forgot that it was on until I was like, oh, look, the Heisman Trophy presentation, and I clicked to it, and good TV event, but let's mix it up, so.
I like your idea. Maybe what they could do to piggyback off that is, like I mentioned, there's already national awards for every position. The ones that you listed, why don't we take that award winner and then they get sent on into kind of like a play. I mean, you're taking the guys that won the best quarterback, and if we're doing 2, then you could find the second, the runner-up, and then put them all together. It's hard. We all know quarterbacks are going to have the most talked about numbers, but there are guys that put up stuff that just their whole body of work doesn't get looked at.
I almost like your idea better.
Be really entertaining.
If they, just had 5 guys, all from these categories, but there would have to be defensively. That would be the only one. You'd have to narrow it down to just 1 player gets the nod instead of the best defensive back or linebacker or something like that. But I think that there are ways, and maybe in the future they will incorporate something like that because there's been too many quarterbacks for too long. And granted, they're the most valuable guy on the field. We get it. Like But at the same time, the other guys are out there working just as hard too. So maybe we'll see a change down the road.
Be nice. Would be.
Yeah. Well, you got the Santa hat on. What
All
do you
right,
want to talk about today?
Well, it's only 12 days until Christmas Eve, right? I can't believe
Wow.
it's already that fast. It's like the high school football season. I can't believe we're already here. I had to get that out one more time. But I wanted to ask you guys, because I was at your house after the Upper Sandusky game on Saturday. Somehow broke my way in, got onto the couch, and we watched Christmas Vacation, one of the all-time great Christmas movies. And it got me thinking, what are your guys' top 5 Christmas movies of all time? And let me start. And I'll give you my top 5. And it was kind of tough for me because I'm Mr. Christmas. You know me. I'm wearing a Santa hat already. I wanted to start talking about Christmas stuff 3 weeks ago, but you kind of stopped me. Like, hey, let's get into Thanksgiving first.
He's got the
before we
jolly
do that.
figure for it and the appetite for
But anyway,
Christmas.
I'm going to give you my top 5. My number 5 Christmas movie of all time, It's a Wonderful Life. You got to love that.
Boo.
Really? You can't...
Not a big fan.
Not a big fan?
But tell me why I should be.
It's just the story, what would life be like without, if I was not there? And he saw that everything was changed. And,
Should I break his heart? Never
how
watched it.
Really? Well, it's a good one. It's
Sorry.
on every Christmas Eve on NBC.
Okay.
Christmas Eve night, you and the wife now. Sit down there if you have a chance.
I'll be
with
watching the
family.
Steelers.
Oh, yeah, that's too 8 o'clock. But yeah. After that, before you go to bed. Whenever.
I know.
It's number 4, a movie you like, The Santa Claus.
That one's good.
Great.
Tim Allen. Loved that movie
That was
growing up. My number 3 movie is another one we saw growing up, and that's Home Alone.
Ooh, good
one. I was going back and forth between 1 and 2, but the original is just it's just so good. The house.
I don't know. Part 2 was on at my house a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of getting into it.
Yeah,
I've
mean,
seen
they
the
did
first
a
one.
good job
with
But how did
follow-ups.
Kevin McAllister's dad afford that house? People that's coming around on like social media now. As, the older you get, the more you wonder what job was he in that he was able to afford that beautiful house with all those kids. But I don't know. My number 2, A Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out. Although I saw the new Christmas Story, the Christmas Story Christmas, and it is pretty darn good. They really did justice from the first one.
And it's actually that character, that real person, right? The actor?
Almost all the characters. The 3 kids are back. Scott Farkas is back, the bully, and a couple other characters. So they reprise the roles, but they're older now. They're adults, and they're trying to give the Christmas to their kids back on Cleveland Street. So it was really good. But you got to go with the original too. The Christmas Story, such a good one. But number 1, my all-time favorite, Christmas Vacation.
Duh.
We were myself, and Jory were just calling out the lines as it was going on. And
It's almost annoying how much of the movie we know.
Where are you going to put a tree that big? Stuff like that. Why is the carpet wet, Todd? Things. But that's, all-time favorite movie. I can watch that 15 times throughout the holidays, and it does not get old. And you didn't know until I told you, but it was actually parts were filmed in Colorado. Breckenridge.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that, and I'm going to be driving through Breckenridge pretty soon, about 10 days. So I'll be looking around and see if I notice anything from the movie.
Your turn.
Yeah, your list pretty eerily similar to mine. I must say we've got a couple of carryovers, a couple that are the same.
That's
so
fine.
Let's go ahead and start the list at number 5. Drum roll. I'm going with The Nightmare Before Christmas because who doesn't like, first-rate stop-motion animation, and it kind of combines all the holidays. So it's a little bit creepy, but it also has a Christmas message in it. So I think maybe there's a little debate. Is this actually a Christmas movie? Yeah, it says it right in the title, so I'm going that this is that. Santa Claus, Tim Allen,
number 4 too,
dude, he's so good. It's a good mix of like adult humor, and then plus it's good for the kids. So I watched this one growing up, and just the transformation of his character. I remember seeing behind the scenes, he actually gained all that weight to actually play that role. So big kudos to Tim Allen for coming through. A really, really memorable movie that I watch every single year around the holidays. So I'm sure that's going to be coming up on my TV really soon. But next on my list, how can you not go with Home Alone?
Right.
It's like the cutest kid of all time, and we all kind of daydreamed, I think, about that at some point when you're about Kevin McAllister's age. What happened if I didn't have my family and I was here fending for myself? Obviously, Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci, they're iconic now. So many great scenes in that movie that it's impossible, I think, to leave off of your
Absolutely.
top 5. So I'm putting Home Alone at number 3, but I am stunned, actually, that you don't have Elf on your list.
There we
honorable
go.
mention. It's an
I
honorable
actually
mention.
went back and forth with maybe is this even my favorite Christmas
Yeah.
movie of all
So
time.
you're saying I'm sitting on a throne of lies?
Will Ferrell playing a guy who's an actual elf. There's so many great storylines in that one, and then it brings the Christmas spirit to life by the end. There, I think, is a message to be learned from Will Ferrell why you're laughing all the way. But I don't think there's any question, actually. Let me take back my previous comment
come
about
on,
I went
man.
back and forth. National Lampoon's Christmas
Absolutely.
Vacation is the best one. It's so good. It's so quotable. The characters are unbelievable, and you can turn that on. Since it's PG-13, the kids can get into it. Like, everybody loves that movie. It's the best, man. I think you'd be hard-pressed to try to find one to top that.
Absolutely. I like it. Good list. Elf is a good one. Barely was off my list. It was there with a couple others. With Die Hard 2. That's a Christmas movie, right?
It is. It counts.
Hayden, is Die Hard in your list?
No, my list, I was kind of torn with this because I'm huge on Christmas, so I don't want to come across as a Scrooge, but mine aren't necessarily in any particular order. There were staples up there. I think Elf and Christmas Vacation are like two staples that no matter what group I'm with for Christmas, no matter what side of the family, they get watched. So those are up there, and I guess maybe I don't know if these fall under movies or more programs.
That's
but
allowed. It's allowed. Okay.
I've grown up a lot around so many like classic things like Charlie Brown,
Christmas, absolutely.
Frosty, Rudolph. So those
we watched
kind
Frosty
of things.
Returns before
We did.
Yeah.
before Christmas Vacation. So yeah, those I'll allow.
Not
those.
quite as good as the original, but it was good.
But it was good. Yeah, John Goodman did a good Frosty.
So you
So
don't
short
really have
and
a
sweet,
top 5
but-
per se, just
Yeah.
whatever's on TV.
Yeah, but Elf is pretty good. It's one of those where it's weird. You meet the people that love it or hate it, and it falls down to Will Ferrell is one of those people that I guess you either love or hate. There's not really in between. I know, I don't know, but yeah, Elf would probably take the cake for me.
Yeah. Santa, I know him.
And he has he has cake for breakfast and syrup.
I've seen some of the
Bob
footage.
Newhart, underrated role in that as well.
Yeah,
as the head elf.
Yeah, I've seen some clips that weren't used in the movie, and there's one of him practicing hockey with the other elves, and it was pretty hysterical too. I'll have to dig that up.
I think I've seen that before, and it is him just running people over. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm disappointed. None of us had Garfield, and I grew up a big fan, but there's been so many Christmas movies that have come out in my lifetime. If you got to narrow it down to 5, I really did spend a good chunk
Maybe
of
next
time.
week we'll do the top 5 Christmas cartoons or Christmas specials or something like that. And then you can put Garfield in there, and Charlie Brown Christmas
True.
and Rudolph, and The Year Without a Santa Claus, things like that. The claymation back in the day, those claymation specials,
Sure.
so much better than the ones we have now, the cartoons and the CGI we have now. I think the claymation's still by far the best. The misers, heat miser, snow
Yeah, that
miser,
one's
all
good.
that stuff.
That's
Just
why
the
I
way
think,
they were able to do that. It was awesome.
I think that's why I put, even though it's a little bit different, it's the stop motion, but The Nightmare Before Christmas,
Yes,
the
exactly.
animation is just so cool and different that
Yep.
it sticks out, and there's lots to like there. Well, I think that's all I got for
think so,
today,
too.
guys. Anything you wanted to bring up last second? I do want to give a shout out to mechanics everywhere because you guys all heard about my struggles.
yeah.
Just trying to do something as simple as change out my brakes and my rotors this weekend, and we thought, me and my friend, that it would just take a few hours on Friday before I came into work. Nah, I had to hustle to get to the game because we spent so much time. Just got one tire done and then spent my entire day yesterday. So I salute you, all mechanics out there, for doing your thing. It's a tough job. And now my fingers and my back hurt. So, man.
You got a basketball game you gotta go to.
I do. Yeah, I got to get up out of here. If you're looking for the hottest ticket in town, go check out 8th grade girls basketball. And then the boys, I'm told, play right after them over at Crestline tonight. Mansfield Christian versus the Bulldogs. Be there. I will be. And we can talk about what your favorite Christmas movies are. So I'm going to run. You guys can wrap it up.
I'm actually going to go practice with the Northmore Golden Knights right now to get my workout in on Monday. So I'm going to head down. I think we're starting in 15 minutes. So Hayden, how about it, my friend?
I don't have any particular special plans, so thanks for tuning in. I'm not going to go practice. I'm probably not going to go watch either, but I will be rooting on the middle school Flames, and you should too. That's all I got for you. Bye.